Salute the flag, and Ms. Chung, would you please lead us in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, 1975, I hereby state that notice of this regular meeting has been provided to the public by written notice dated January 18, 2022. The meeting notice has been emailed to all staff members in the District's 3 school locations. 2, communicated to at least one of the board designated newspapers, and 3, filed with the Borough Clerk of Palisades Park. Roll call, please.
Dr. Matarazzo.
Here.
Yui Min.
Here.
Sue Chung.
Yes.
Annie Estes Garcia. Here. Jason is absent. Kevin Lynn.
Here.
Peter Longo.
Here.
John Madison.
Yes.
Miss Charlie Shin is absent as well. Dr. Cirillo.
Here.
Alex.
Here.
Sarah Kim.
Present.
Okay, first item, I just want to thank and congratulate everyone for the graduation ceremonies. They were phenomenal, and I attended all of them, and I could not have been happier to see, or even the pre-K ones I went to, and it was great. The teachers, the administration have to be commended. They did a great job. Also, in front of you, everyone got a police department invitation to attend the ceremony. I believe it's on July 6th, but he doesn't have the time. I have a call into him. I don't know if this was him now trying to call me, to call Diane or myself to let us know. So if I hear from him now, I will let you know.
It says PM on the.
It does, but it says July 1st at 6 on top. So I don't know what that means. Does that mean that was just a typo, that it was July?
You're right.
Yeah, so I said, let me call and verify it. So maybe Diane, once you find out, you could just send out a blurb what time? Thank you. We met, all the committees met that are gonna be reporting tonight, and I congratulate all of them for the thorough work that they did, and it's great to see such involvement. Okay, next would be the report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Matarazzo. I only have one report, and it's really an update with regard to the monumental HVAC project in our district. So there is a tentative timeline that will begin in the month of September of 2022. Much of the work, obviously, if not all, must be bidded out to the lowest bidder for full transparency. We are hoping to do that at the month of October of 22. Our October meeting, we would be awarding bids according to the plan presented by our architects here. And we're hoping that a lot of the work can commence next spring. So fingers are crossed. This is a very, very, very big task. A lot of work to be done in our district for, again, air quality and air conditioning and just fresh air, if nothing else, for safety, security, and health. But this project, again, timeline will be posted online. I'm actually going to keep a lot of this information under the district tab, so anyone in the community that is not present is up to date with our projects. Other than that, it is our closeout meeting, and I just publicly would like to thank the parents, the community, the teachers, board members. This is another one of those difficult years with all of the circumstances that have come our way, but it really was a successful year. When you measure the positives, they always outweigh the negatives, and I just wish everyone a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you, you too. Okay, the next would be the report of the board attorney.
Well, I mean, I don't have any resolutions for the board to vote on, but just an update. Yesterday, I finally received response from the borough attorney with regard to SLEO, which means special police officers for the school agreement. And what the town attorney, Mr. Schettino, said was that the agreement has expired and they do not have SLEO officers anymore. But they said that they're gonna continue to provide the safety officers in the case that we need it. So I forwarded the email to Diane and Dr. Matarazzo and Dr. Cirillo today.
Great, so that means that if we have a need, all we have to do is call up and they will send
That-
someone?
Seems like so, and then
Okay.
he said that if we have any questions, I can call him, so.
Now, would that be by the superintendent or the principals, or,
You mean the,
let's say
Yeah.
a request, yes?
well, I mean, I guess anybody,
Okay.
I can do it, and Dr. Cirillo certainly can do it.
Good,
Yep.
okay, so we have that, that's good, thank you. Okay, we can get right into the committee reports, and we're gonna start with finance, Mr. Lim.
Okay, on the finance, we have, for our 17 consent agenda for, resolution, but I just wanna, make one comment for, 17th. The list of contractors we awarded, and, I noticed that whether the BKC, the auditor, is gonna be in the list or not.
So this wouldn't be the auditors, that's done at the reorganization in January.
Okay.
These are just the renewals of many of our vendors that are under state contract, Mr. Lim.
Okay,
But the auditor has already been approved,
Mhm.
At our reorganization and is still our audit of record.
okay. So I just wanted to confirm that whether there's any kind of
Okay,
effects or not.
Is there a second on that?
I second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call please.
Dr. Matarazza.
Yes.
Yuen Min.
Yes.
Sue Chung.
Yes.
Manisca Garcia.
Yes.
Kevin Lin.
Yes?
Peter Longo.
Yes.
John Madison.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next would be, buildings and grounds,
Excuse
and,
me.
yes,
Excuse me, there's a finance addendum.
okay, was that included in on this resolution?
Finance.
The last page.
The
So
sale of
Okay.
the pickup truck.
Mr. Lim?
Mr. Lim, there's an addendum, there's a vehicle that, we have to
Oh, okay.
formally, move to dispose of.
Yeah, this was, added, right?
That's
Right,
correct.
right. You make a motion on that, please?
Yeah.
I just have a question, so
Sure.
if we, let's say, sell it for whatever, are those funds go back to?
The Board of
Okay,
Education.
great.
And if they choose to pay us for it, I would probably tell you they made a mistake.
It's 22 years old.
If we can't use it, it needs to be junk.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's gonna be.
Let's
junk.
put a bid in. Okay, Mr.
Yeah.
You put a resolution on that?
Yeah, I just wanna
Se-
propose the resolution for disposal of the.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call please.
Dr. Matarazza.
Yes.
Yuen Min. Yes. Sue Chung.
Yes.
Manisca Garcia.
Yes.
Jason, you settled?
Yes, I am, yes.
Okay. Kevin Lin.
Yes?
Peter Longo.
Yes.
John Madison.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And I'd just like to say that was used, I believe, by Mr. Burns, one of our, best, employees. He was phenomenal, and, I'm gonna think of him every time I see that, and maybe I'll buy that, truck, just,
That might be a conflict of interest.
I don't know, I'd love to keep it around. Okay, the next one, buildings and grounds, Mr. Shin is not here, so, Mr. Kim,
Yeah,
would you like to make a resolution on that?
yes. I'd like to propose to make a resolution for this, two events.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Discussion? If not, roll call please.
Dr. Matarazza.
Yes.
Yuen Min.
Yes.
Sue Chung.
Yes.
Manisca Garcia.
Yes.
Jason Kim.
Yes.
Kevin Lin.
Yes?
Peter Longo.
Yes.
John Madison.
Yes.
Okay, the next one would be personnel. Ms. Min.
Yes, before us, we have 11 resolutions. I'd like to make a motion as the consent agendas.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay,
Can I
any,
just make one
Sure.
comment on that? We noticed today that on the, resolution number 10, which past practice at our closeout meeting, we rehire all employees for the, following school year. A omission of the master teacher at the Early Childhood Center, Ms. Verich's Madia, should be added. That is a, oversight. Ms. Verich's Madia will be included in this updated
okay,
ECC list.
And also, can I ask you, at high school,
Yes.
it's kind of empty position of our supervisor.
Yes.
When we are going to, you know?
So the posting closed yesterday for that position. We will begin interviews next week, and very likely we will be calling for a special meeting in the month of July.
Okay, they're gonna start on September. Right?
That is correct, and that is also the case with the athletic director. We will also be recommending a athletic director, hopefully at that same meeting.
Which that person has to begin in August,
That's the hope, yes.
so we have to have a meeting to
Sam,
do that.
Supervisor, I didn't see, was it posted
Yes, it was.
on our website too? 'Cause I
It
looked.
was an internal posting. So it was posted in all bulletin boards and in all schools.
It wouldn't be,
It was not an external posting.
oh, I thought whatever's on our website is internal too, I didn't know.
No, it's
You mean,
the website is Applitrack,
Oh, okay.
so that's the external postings.
You mean on school website?
That is correct.
So how come you can get them from outside?
We can, I just think that we have a pool of candidates internally, with that position that I think we should consider as well. If we're not satisfied with those candidates, then we can post outside.
Could we, I mean, in the future, cause I know I used to get postings from Diane, I didn't get it this time, so maybe just on the supervisor, like I like just
It's
to
the
read about it.
postings that are put out every month, maybe we can get a copy of that.
Well, they're not posted on what, every month?
Well, whenever they have it go out. Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay, any other discussion? If not, roll call please.
Dr. Matarazzo.
Yes, I have to though recuse myself on Samantha Matarazzo and James Mascolo.
Newman,
Yes.
Sucho,
Yeah.
Aniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Jason Kim,
Yes.
Kevin Lynn,
Yes.
Peter Longo,
Yes,
John Moore.
Okay, great, thank you. Next would be curriculum, Mr. Longo.
today.
Okay, and then negotiations, Mr. Madison, Ms. Garcia.
There's no report.
Okay, next would be policy, Ms. Garcia.
Policy, there is one, resolution, and it is just updating our current policies and just bringing them up to date. The updates are reflect conduct and discipline, curriculum adoption, and gifted and talented. So briefly, the update, content was added prohibiting hazing and including certain definitions on what constitutes hazing, and also including electronic communications as being part of, as a tool that can be considered as part of hazing or harassment or bullying or things of that nature. For curriculum adoption, there was a clause that was added regarding instruction on political, social, economic contributions of individuals with disabilities and the LGBT community. And the gifted and talented, policy was overhauled by the state, and basically includes, reports that now are required to be submitted, by a committee person that's designated by the Commissioner of the Board of Education for the state of New Jersey. So
Great.
these are updates, these policies are already in place, they're just updates, and the updates are included, in your folders.
Great, thank you. Second on that,
Second.
and discussion.
It's just a question to Dr. Zero.
Yes.
How, how does gifted talented students are determined?
Yeah, so there's different criteria that's established by the school. We have multiple measures that can allow for a child to be placed in a gifted and talented classroom. It's not only teacher recommendations, there are benchmark assessments. A child may take a standardized test, and if they score a certain equivalency, they may be eligible. There also is, again, there are many parents that believe if their children are gifted, they can make a request that they are assessed. So we have teacher-made, we have standardized assessments, but also teacher recommendations are all brought into the equation.
Okay.
Did you research, because as a, I'm a teacher, some of parents don't like that gift and talented program. Who are belong to gift and talented program is okay.
Correct.
But, so I think it's better to research with the parents general. Yeah,
Sure.
that's my
Yeah,
comment.
good.
So before any child is placed in any gifted and talented program, that is with parental consent. We do not place the child unless the parent is in agreement with it. So that has to be agreed upon by mutual parties.
It's like special needs, if,
Absolutely.
the
We
parent
can
doesn't want
identify
same
the
thing.
child as being
Absolutely.
eligible.
but the parent has to okay it. Okay,
Well, I have a question.
How many students?
any,
It fluctuates. I would tell you on average, maybe there are 20 children per grade in certain subjects.
Yeah.
But by grade and by subject, in the high school, the numbers may fluctuate versus the elementary schools. So those numbers fluctuate.
okay,
Can I get a copy of the updated policy? It's not included in my folder.
the update of the, well, here's a whole,
There you go.
oh. okay. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Dr. Matarese.
Yes.
Louis May.
Yes.
Sue Chung.
Yes.
Inez Garcia. Yes. Jason Kim.
Yes.
Kevin Lim.
Yes.
Peter Longo.
Yes.
John Mattson.
Great. Next, PTA, PTSA, Ms. Chung.
Oh, yeah, we're actually the former PTA officers, between former PTA officers and then new PTA officers are in transition to put their new names on the documents. So it's going to be done by this summer. So I don't know if you guys are okay to be introduced, because there are three ladies here are also part of the PTA officers. And Ms.
So who
Michelle.
would be the new president that we
New
have?
president is Grace Song, who was a president of the Korean PTA.
Great,
So she will be the president,
Okay.
and then we have three vice presidents
Wow.
that represent each three school. Miss Naomi Rivera will represent. She's with the vice president for ECC, and Miss Misha Praparora will be Lindbergh,
Lindbergh.
vice president, and Miss Peparos will be the BOE liaison, and she will
Excellent.
represent PTA at the BOE meeting.
from the high school.
All schools,
Great,
just PTA.
great.
Between PTA to BOE, she will be
Excellent.
the representative.
Wow, very nice, very nice.
So
Thank
Sue,
you.
Ray Song is not gonna be involved with the Korean Parents Group anymore?
Grace, so
Grace Song.
in my understanding, she probably will be separating from that group, but
Are they
not
gonna
sure.
combine?
Well, she will be member,
Uh-huh.
but not the president's
Oh.
job.
What
But
about
that's my
combining,
understanding, but still she is holding that position. Yeah.
will they be joining forces maybe and having one PTA?
That was my hope. It might take time, but they will gradually be
Great,
combined.
great.
Combined.
Thank you very much.
And
Okay,
is there gonna be a rep for the high school, or
Hmm?
is there one, you had mentioned ECC and Lindbergh?
Oh
is there
yeah,
a
high
rep for the
school.
high
She's not here. Her name
Okay.
is Bo.
Okay, but there is
Yeah,
someone.
right. There's
Okay,
someone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
great, thank you. Okay, the next thing would be student activities, Ms. Min, and field trips.
Okay. No report
No
at
report.
this time.
Okay, next would be calendar food services, Mr. Kim.
There is nothing to report this time.
Okay, next item would be old business. If not, let's move on to new business. Any new business?
Well, Mr. President, Diane and I were talking outside about crossing guards, and it seems that there is no crossing guards during the summer program that the kids are going to Lindbergh. So I think that maybe somebody or some who should call either the mayor or the police in charge.
I think Dr. Cirillo said that he had already reached out, am I
I've
correct?
had multiple conversations with Officer in Charge Espino. I know the last correspondence this morning was seeking the times and the dates, and I shared all of that information with him. I'm hopeful that additional crossing guards are
Okay.
added. We have a large number of students.
Yeah, because we don't
doing
want an
remediation.
accident happening there, then, then all of a sudden, whose fault is it?
I did share those concerns.
So
Okay.
when are they gonna proceed with that? Cause we've already gone 1 week of summer school.
I will follow up again in the morning, Ms. Montemuro.
All right,
Okay.
Okay.
thank you, Dr. Sue.
Great, any other new business?
I'm not sure if it's old or new, but this, I see the police officer today over there in the corner. Is that the result of our email conversation, or it's just a policy that
No, we requested that.
because from now on?
For now,
So for the record, with the former officer in charge, I had given all of our Board of Education meeting dates. And obviously, we had presence at all of our meetings with the exception of our last one. Unfortunately, there was a change in the officer in charge, and unfortunately, there was no notification to have
So
someone
just
present.
the last meeting was exceptional.
Right.
It's supposed
I can tell you, I will make every, potential opportunity that someone is present during our meetings going forward.
Okay.
And I put those requests in writing.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Welcome.
Any other new business?
And thank you for being here, sir.
If not, we're gonna move to audience participation. Yes, sir.
Let's just wait in turn. Bradley Rivera, Palisades Park, Glen Avenue. So I was speaking to Dr. Cirillo in passing. My company is works in Nebraska as well, and I know there's always a manpower issue within schools, manufacturing plants, and social service programs. What we found, we helped the city of Lincoln, Nebraska pilot a program that would be, I think, instrumental in filling in the gaps. There's a lot of parents that are stay-at-home parents, but very, very qualified. So they did a pilot program to see between the hours of 10 to 2 p.m. where parents could come in and fill in the gaps in schools, manufacturing plants, so on and so forth. One of the main factors they addressed that I remember, it didn't come out in the news, but I remember talking with the public, was that the teacher to student ratio was astronomical. They were dealing with like 14 students per one teacher, so on and so forth. And not necessarily in the classroom, could have been in the cafeteria or helping organize the children line up to be picked up from schools. And it helped parents who have some skills, psychologists, doctors, nurses that, have to stay home, have to drop their kids to school and don't have the ability to enter the workforce because of their requirements of their new family. So I know Lindbergh has a lot of children entering the school year, and high school has a lot of children into the school year. You guys go to mayoral meetings, and maybe that's something that we can explore in the town of Palisades Park or even Bergen County, where we extend our hands and doors to parents who are capable but can't because the workforce doesn't accept a 10 to 2 schedule.
Now, unfortunately, we can't even find people to be our teachers' aides, paid positions. That'd be great. I don't know if our community has that many non-working parents though. Most of them are hardworking.
That's what Lincoln, Nebraska thought, and all of a sudden,
Great.
they had a lot of stay-at-home parents that filled into the manufacturing plants, building trains, building four-wheelers, to schools,
Sure.
teachers' aides, and they passed background checks. They used to be so.
And I think, Mr. Rivera, and I appreciate you bringing that up, and I think hopefully, with Ms. Chung's work with the newly formed PTA and the ladies, the women who are volunteering their time, I think this is a potential opportunity where we can work together and collaborate and potentially open our doors. I think the hope is that there is more involvement. Clearly, any person who is to volunteer has to be fingerprinted to work with our schools or our children. But again, it shouldn't be a deterrent. It should be an opportunity to explore.
Right?
So thank you.
Just a
Thank you.
question.
If I say one-
Are these parents being paid or they volunteer?
No,
So,
volunteer.
no, they're both paid and volunteer.
Oh,
There,
they're
so
both, okay.
there's a YouTube article that I can probably forward, and they focus on my manufacturing plant because it's the biggest employer in this region, but some of these parents were also paid, so.
Well, that would be as a teacher's aide, let's say, system.
Yeah.
So that's, we can always use them.
They use them for crossing guards, such things like that.
Yeah, that'd be great if they would. Maybe we could put a blurb out
I
and.
think once we establish the women involvement and any participants in the
Yeah.
community, that's where the word gets out quickly.
Great, thank you.
It's kind of community issue. Someone who retired, we can put on ad,
Yeah.
can work as a volunteer.
They just put, that was a target audience. What our plant's target audience was retirees looking for some side money because, times sometimes get rough. And what they found was a lot of parents that can't enter the workforce because they're new parents that haven't adjusted their schedule, or parents with kids with special needs. 10 to 2 was perfect because they could drop them off there.
Well, I know that you know, Diane puts out for teachers' aides every year, and I know we're at a shortage of teachers' aides, and that'd be great, so,
Even if it's 10 to 2, like you can.
yeah,
if
absolutely.
School starts at 8:30.
So the only issue again with teacher aide specifically, you know, it could be a lunch aide and those hours are conducive, but a teacher aide who may be assigned to a child with disabilities, that might be driven by an IEP. And with compliance reasons, 10 to 2 wouldn't work.
Right.
But again, let's worry
Yeah,
about
right,
those
right.
problems when we get there.
That was a suggestion to
Absolutely,
let
it's
you
a
know
great
about the
idea.
pilot program that we
Good.
did in Nebraska.
Excellent.
Great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dr. Cyril, is there an age limit to be an aide teacher?
No.
At
Or the
18, I think.
seniors can be
Yeah,
applied?
senior citizens can be volunteers and or eligible for employment, yes.
Sure. Any other audience? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know what are we doing for the next year of also regardless of you know, the officer that we have in the school, like the security company, because I have a previous conversation with Cirillo about, you know, not to discriminate anybody. I don't have nothing again of, you know,
Yeah.
some people can do different job, and I agree with that. But I think we need more like a person who could be able to be more hand-on.
Well, I
and
know we have the security company that is.
yeah,
totally
the
employed.
security company,
So
because
there have been, go ahead, Joe.
yeah, like I know we have the security company, but I've been noticed, you know, that sometimes when we go there, it's not enough of cover for our student, or sometimes, you know, the car of the officer is empty and just the car running. And I've been telling that to the board meeting about that, because, you know, with all this thing going on, it's better if the officer is in the car and, you know, like, especially at the time of the entrance to the school. And I talked to Cirillo about the previous, the one that we have now, the security, and Cirillo said he was gonna take care of that. So I would like to see more for the oncoming year, because we need more security in our school, like, or people
The
around.
concern has been addressed with the management company,
Yeah.
and the hope is that there is, I think if nothing else, more of a presence felt throughout the building.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yes, ma'am.
Just hopping off that, is there a way that we can even, not for nothing, get rid of the security company and get actual law enforcement involved? I mean, I know that's a city issue also, but can the Board of Ed work with the city? I know that I'd feel a lot more comfortable, especially in this day and age with cops in the school.
Of course, yeah, so I've made multiple attempts to try to, if nothing else, work in collaboration with the local government. I can't speak for the police department or the mayor and council, but we can make those requests known. I have in the past. I know when we had our issues, it was the security company we have or nothing. So we went with this presence. Is it the best solution? At the time, it was the only solution, but we always have to constantly revisit. I will tell you wholeheartedly, there's been good conversations with the mayor, with the police department and Officer Espino, and I will continue that throughout the summer.
Great.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, is there any thinking about, or that we do another referendum going through? Because I know in the past we, you know, Cirillo present a referendum for our school and it didn't pass. Is there any thinking about the oncoming year for we could, you know, do another referendum to fix our school? As was
Absolutely.
planning?
Absolutely. This building especially, as we know with our preschool grant, if we don't do something within 2 years, we will not be able to have preschool.
No,
I've said
I
it
know.
publicly, I say it all the time.
Yeah,
We don't have the space for the children. We cannot open our doors without the space.
yeah.
So it's a conversation that was had with elected officials already, with board members, with the Buildings and Grounds Committee. Conversations have not gone in the direction we hope, but it can be something that the Board of Ed, without the support, will have to consider going forward with.
Yeah.
That
tried.
one, yeah. And before the more other school come back.
Okay, anything else?
My question is relevant to the Ms. Reporters, that is about the school safety, that, because after I participated in the workshop of school safety 3 weeks ago, that I heard that, I saw, there's a one speaker, was from New Brunswick, North Brunswick, I'm not sure, but he was a chief police officer or presenting how they do. So they are doing like every day, and every door of all the school buildings were opened by the police officer or security. But is there any kind of those updates or protocols that we can implement?
So I bring in the Department of Education Office of Emergency Response and Planning every year. I have a relationship with that department at the Department of Education. And they're individuals who are not familiar faces in our schools. They come in and they lock down our buildings and they try to see if there are any breaches. They try to open doors, and if there are concerns, the police department, the prosecutor's office, and the sheriff's department from Bergen County are involved. So we continue that. Of course, we would like more supervision. We are in the process of purchasing new doors. We have our man traps, excuse the term, but we have those in all 3 of our buildings at the final stages, and I commend the board for approving those projects. So again, the point of entry at each of our schools will be more centralized for that purpose, for security reasons.
Okay, so usually if, I heard this our SRO is the program is expired now, and usually is that their job? Or?
SRO, to the best of my knowledge, will be reassigned to our building. I've heard nothing to the contrary.
Okay.
Yep. It's one individual currently, and clearly they cannot be in all 3 buildings, but of course they are assigned to rotate in the schools. And
yeah, no, my question is that usually those jobs, was the security people's job or is SRO's job? Or
it's a combination. It's an administrative job.
Okay.
It's, a teacher, if they see a door open, of course they are to identify it. There's no, when it comes to safety, everyone's job is to be vigilant.
Okay.
If I see something, I say something. So we all should do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else for audience participation? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to close. We have to go into closed session.
I'm sorry, I just.
Yes, ma'am.
There's 130 kindergarten graduates. Where are we putting them next year?
They're okay.
They're
I
okay?
promise you. At Lindbergh, that's not the problem.
No, that was gonna be my next question, because then Lindbergh graduates, they go into the high school.
We're still okay.
We're still
Yeah.
okay.
I promise you. I promise you.
Wow, this class is a lot larger than I.
We've had
expected
bigger
it to
ones.
be.
Not that I'm proud of that, but we've had 150s.
We still have 7th grade going to
Listen,
high
last
school,
I
right?
checked, there was this big building being built on Grand Ave. I hope there's no children living in there.
I hope not.
But we still have 7th grade, right? 7th grade going to high school. We're not
That
going
is
to
the
6th
plan.
grade.
No, the plan is 7 through 12.
32 of those apartments are two bedrooms. 32 of 48.
Well, it seems like they'll have at least one child there.
There will be a referendum in the very near
We
future.
need,
Has to be.
we need.
Any chance to get a middle school, or is that
Mm-hmm.
the city?
That's why,
That's a
you know,
dream.
thinking about
A
it, we
dream.
really need it.
Let's make it true.
Yes.
I have a simple question. I know they discussed, doing an audit of people's addresses. Are you guys equipped with an analytics team that verifies the effectiveness of the efforts put out? Like, is there a deviation, or that translates to all these man hours shows X amount of kids were discovered to be out of sort? Do you guys? Because a lot of time is spent.
I can tell you wholeheartedly, I've said it publicly, I do not anticipate a very large number of students being here illegally. There may be a few, and there's a lot of hours, to your point, and I've said that's a lot of critical hours of our secretarial staff. Regardless, many of these children, if not, I'm not gonna say all, many, the majority, all reside in Palisades Park. And the hours that, again, we'll determine it. We are doing the current, the rising 4th graders and the rising 8th graders. That process started. I'll tell you right now, not one person so far has proved to not live in Palisades Park.
And pre-K, we're all doing
Pre-K,
that.
they all have to prove they
And
live here.
kindergarten, they have to do
Have
that.
to.
So we're doing it really in 4 grades.
And the good news, if that, for the public, there are companies out there that do this for you, and it's a lot of money. I guess the good news is we're allocating our resources internally, and we haven't spent taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, that's fine, but that was the concern, is the juice worth the squeeze?
We'll know after we do these 2 grade levels what the numbers look like more
But so far, none?
concretely. 0.
Wow, okay. Once again, I'd like to entertain a motion that we go into closed session.
I make a motion.
Second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So it's just this one item?
Just one item for
And-
bullying, has to be a vote in public. If you choose to leave, have a great summer.
Thank you.
And if
we'll-
any meetings are scheduled in the summer, they of course would be advertised on our agenda, on our website. Thank you all.
Thank you.